Welcome back to another tier list today. We have got a Golden Gauntlet champion who also top forward at another Golden Gauntlet event, one of the best tournament players ever, and the number one poster boy for Aerosym, RoramPlays. Roram, how are you doing today?
I'm doing great, Smlz. How are you today?
I'm doing just fine, and I'm ready to rank these 5 costs. And got you on for today, 5 costs. You have made a lot of how do I put this? Cope decks centered around a lot of these cards, so I'm excited to have your insight.
These are probably my most played costs, man. The amount of copium that I've huffed just because of these cards here. I've played probably all of these many times.
There's a few
excited
here,
to rank them.
There's a few here that I definitely can say I have not played in at least 2 years, but I'm excited to rank them anyways. Let's start off with one of your favorite cards, High Evo Abomination.
Okay, so I think High Evo Abomination has consistently, for probably since the start of the game till 2025, it was one of the highest win rate cards of Marble Snap. Now in 2026, I don't know if it can compete anymore. I do have a question. Are we ranking these based off of just the current metagame or the whole life of the card?
We are rating them based on how good the card is. Obviously, we have to take into account the current metagame for a bit. Like, for example, we're not evaluating 5/8 Cannonball, we're evaluating 5/5 Cannonball. Okay. However, if a card has shown that, like, it can, like, ebb and flow, like, for example, a card made this specific meta might not be good for it, but then, like, it'll pop right back up later. Like, when Star-Lord was everywhere in February, Man-Spider kind of just completely went away because all the counters to Star-Lord countered Man-Spider, and also Foom countered Man-Spider pretty hard. But it was like, everyone would look crazy if they put Man-Spider any lower than A tier. So even though he might not be good in that meta, he's still a good card. That's kind of how I want to evaluate.
That makes sense. Today. Okay, perfect. Well then, A-Bomb, he screams either high B or low A to me. A free 0/9 is just always been so powerful, being able to throw out that high statted at the end of the game, and he's completely free. I mean, he's in one of my signature decks, the BYU deck that I made with Cougar, and he's like the main staple of the deck. I think he's probably the best card to build for Afflict right now. What are your thoughts?
Look, I didn't play that deck much. I'm not a big High Evo player or Afflict player myself. I prefer the kind of buff archetype. However, I cannot deny that this card is powerful. But with Hazmat nerfed to 3/3, I just have not seen a lot of this guy around. His deck is a lot harder to make work. And although I recognize that he is probably the main power spike of the deck, and the reason why I think the deck remains in like a vaguely playable context, again, the better Cerebro gets, the more this deck becomes unplayable, because that's a deck that naturally runs Luke Cage. 0/9 isn't necessarily doing much in the face of these combo decks, such as stuff like Man-Spider that I mentioned earlier. Overall, I think this guy is a definite solid B tier. He's not bad at all. However, when we're kind of like factoring in like where he stands, his best days are almost certainly behind him with the amount of doubling in the game. However, I think High Evo A-Bomb is still just a good card. Therefore, I can put it in the B tier. C tier is kind of a bit of a step below a good card.
Yeah, I would agree with that. I like B tier for A-Bomb. Now for Aero, when she was a 5'10", so Aero's gone through a lot of like changes over the course of Marvel Snap. Currently, she's a 5'9", and she only pulls one card, the last card that was played. She is just not that strong. She's just not that good anymore. When she was 5'10" and worked with Surtur, she was a lot stronger. Part of me is leaning D, high D, low C is my range right now.
I think you're huffing some insane copium to put this card any higher than the D tier. What deck does she go in? She's not going to throw you a game because you put her in your deck. but she's also not gonna she's not good at all. She's not played. She does not outright lose you games. So I think we have to put her in the D tier instead of the F tier. But my God, this card is bad, dude. This card at 5, even at 5'10", I don't think this card would be that good right now. Surtur is gone. This card was just a complete Surtur merchant because it was the best 5'10", which I think was her and Red Skull were the only 5'10s in the game. And you tell me which one's better, the 5'10 or the 5'6. I gotta put this card in D tier. I cannot justify putting it in C tier.
Yeah, I mean, I was playing with her just last week, and she felt good in like scammy ways, but besides that, she just isn't doing the job that you want her to do anymore.
Just a bad card. Let's get on to one of your favorite cards in the entire game, Agamoto. Where do you think he is?
Man, Agamoto's fall off needs to be studied. I love Agamoto, but this guy is just you really feel the deck clog in when you play Agamoto. I play this card probably once a week, maybe twice a week, regularly. I think it's a C tier card. Maybe, yeah, I think it's just a solid C tier card. I just think the deck, his abilities are so strong, but the clog that your deck has and how you can't build any kind of functioning strategy with him just makes him feel so bad. So he wants to be a good cards pile in a metagame, in a game that rewards synergy piles over good card piles.
100% agree. I think this card is better than Aero in the sense that, Agamoto deck sounds a lot better than an Aero deck to me. But I do agree with you. The deck bloat is really impactful now with all the synergy pieces gone. Back before the Techpocalypse, this guy was A tier. This guy was a very extremely solid kind of this points part of a tech package. He was a points accelerator, but then obviously once we got Surge and Mr. Fantastic First Steps, which were just way better accelerators for that same deck, then we started to run into some actual just genuine issues because those cards were way too strong and enabling too much. I think Agamoto is fine in C tier. I think that the one buff I want to see this guy get is I want to see his 1-cost spell. If Agamoto is in your hand, it also draws a card. So it's basically, if Agamoto is in your hand, it still becomes a 5/13, but you also get the extra draw. Therefore, I think the deck bloat would be felt a little bit less, and it doesn't impact the games where it's already drawing you Agamoto. It just kind of raises the floor with those low rolls.
Yeah, that's a good idea. I don't know if it would fix him at all. He feels like he needs one more, 2 card draws in his spells and his kit, but giving him at least one of them is, a good way to start forward. The next card we have lined up, though, is Ajax. And I think I have a hot take for you, Smlz.
What's the take?
I think Ajax is D tier.
Whoa, I was going to say C tier, and I thought C tier was hot. Tell me why it's D tier.
I just think out of all the 5-cost packages build-arounds, he's one of the worst ones. You're always kind of looking for an excuse to take Ajax out of the afflict deck if you can, because at the end of the day, he's just a big statted body, and there's better cards that you can play with a big stat body. And he's just not meaningful enough anymore. He can't go tall enough in the games that you need him to go tall enough. And so you're paying 5 energy to still lose the game against combo or lose the game against control, and you just can't compete with him. He could be C tier. I could be low on him. He's high D. He's better than Aero, but I think he's worse than Agamoto.
I agree that he's worse than Agamoto, but the reason why I don't think he's on the same level as a card like Aero is I think a card like Aero is unjustifiable. I think the difference between C tier, D tier, and F tier is that C tier is kind of these mediocre to bad cards. D tier are basically cards that don't instantly lose you the game if you put it in your deck, pretty much. For example, We'll get to a few of them later, where it's just like straight up detriments to your deck if you include them. Like it's almost always a brick draw. D tier is kind of that like in between there because it's not a brick draw, but it's also not good. So I think Ajax is at least mediocre. I think he's just fallen off so hard from the days where he was S tier that he just kind of like feels worse than he actually is. I mean, the guy is still 519. Like he's still like on the same level of points, at least, even higher, arguably, than some, definitely higher than like a Devil Dino, on the same level, if not a little bit higher than a Ronan. I think that this guy is genuinely not good, but he's also not Aero tier. I would put him in C. I think he's very similar to Agamoto in that sense, where his best days are behind him.
Yeah, I think you're correct that he is C tier. However, I think the introduction of skills has made afflict way worse because you're so reliant on your afflicting your opponent's cards, and skills don't take up board space. And so ever since the introduction of skills, he's like afflict in general has just been struggling to keep up.
I'd love to see some afflict buffs.
I would too.
I think we need to start talking. If we need to keep Hazmat at 3 costs, sure. Then I better start seeing 5/8 Ajax, 4/8 Man Thing, 4/7 Malekith. Just these little nudges in the right direction, because it's clear that this archetype has fallen by the wayside. And that, and just even like as basic of a piece it is, Silver Sable. Before the introduction of skills, she was like a B tier 1-drop, and now she's like a low C tier, arguably. I think she's a little bit better because 1 costs suck. But this card is just now all of a sudden way worse with the introduction of skills than it was before, where it was one of the best 1-drops.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Let's talk about Annie.
Annie.
I don't like this card.
I don't either. I think his packages suck.
I agree.
He has 2 cards that he works with. One's a 4/9, and the other one's a 1. Like Hood is okay. Hood is Hood.
I can name 5 Hood decks that are all better than Annihilus.
I can too. I think Annie is not that good. However, he is a Hood merchant, another Hood merchant. Mm-hmm. He was the original Hood merchant, which is why his deck was so strong, because he was the OG Hood merchant. But I think he's C tier.
Honestly, I think he's worse than Ajax. That's a hot take right there.
I think he's worse than Ajax too, so you could put him in D tier if you wanted to be spicy.
Honestly, my content brain says yes, but like logistically, no, I can't put him on the same level as Aero. He is. Again, these 3 C-tier cards are all, I think, very similar. They're old, generic points packages that succeeded because of a different dynamic within kind of the game. When Annie was meta, it was because we had less movers and less cheap pieces that you wanted to play. A lot of the good cards in Annie's time were like 3s, 4s, and 5s. Like, this is when Cull Obsidian was like a meta menace. Therefore, a lot of decks were playing a lot less cards, so it was easier to get the Annie clogged. When it comes to Ajax, it was a time before skills, where players often have an open board, so cards like Diamondback always played for 311, cards like Ajax were always playing for north of 20 power, and Man-Thing was almost always getting a ton of hits. Agamoto kind of fell off with the Techpocalypse. Again, these 3 cards are very similar in the sense that they all used to be S or A tier cards that fell off drastically due to shifting dynamics in the game. And I think we're going to see that a lot as a common theme with these 5-cost cards. Because 5 is such a large cost to pay, it's very impactful, and you want these cards to be your entire deck's build around. So when the meta shifts in a way that's unfavorable for them, these cards are going to get significantly weaker at a much faster pace than these 3 and 4-cost cards. I think the only card from a lower cost that I can honestly say is similar to these cards in the fall off is Galacta, but Galacta had to take an actual nerf to get that hit. I honestly think +3 Galacta wouldn't even be that great right now. I think he'd still be like an A tier card, but I don't think she would have been as broken as she once was.
Maybe with Maverick, we didn't get to see how she'd play with Maverick, to be fair, so...
I mean, this is too slow. It's kind of slow, though, no? You want to be...
Are we always playing Maverick on 5, though?
Yeah, but also, when you take into account, if you're buffing your Maverick, then your Maverick's only 5 power. That's not that big of a Maverick.
Yeah, well, yeah, that's fair.
I think that...
And then you buff it with Shou.
And then you're taking your turn forward. You gotta run Wasp Yellow Jacket in your Shou-Lao deck. You heard it first. Speaking about cards that fell off, this one's from a year earlier when it was good. Blackbolt, who I think is D tier.
Oh, yeah. Is Blackbolt just kind of throwing when you put him in your deck now because of his stat line? Like, his effect is good, but his stat line is so terrible. Like, his effect isn't good enough to justify his stat line.
Let me look at these cards. No,
I think he's D tier because his effect is good and you can get that free, you can get that 1/7, but even then, a 1/7 isn't that strong anymore. Like, she should be buffed.
She should be a 1/8, but it's just like nobody wants to promote that play pattern. I think it's just D tier. I took a quick look at the cards. There are definitely cards worse than Blackbolt here. That being said, I think Blackbolt's in a very similar situation to Aero, where it's just not good.
It's honestly, just not good anymore.
I think there is an argument for Stature to be F tier. I don't think we can argue Blackbolt. His effect is just a little bit too strong to put down there.
See, I feel like
even though 5/7's a horrible stat.
Yeah, I feel like Stature's better than Blackbolt because you can still do like Moon Knight stuff with Stature versus Blackbolt.
Famous good card, Moon Knight. Let's
get some... I would say they're better. Like, we're ranking trash here, you know, like Stature's like here, Blackbolt's right here. They're probably going to end up in the same tier.
So cycling versus trash right now. Black Panther, what are we thinking for him?
A tier.
Really?
Yeah.
Walk me through.
I think Black Panther has one of the strongest keyword texts in the game that you can build around alongside like Man-Spider. But I think Man-Spider is better than Black Panther. But Black Panther, over the course of, you know, the lifetime of Snap, has consistently been a package that you can run into your decks. And it's only gotten better and better as time has progressed, as more cards have come into the game. You could convince me on B tier because it is worse than Man-Spider. And if Man-Spider is going to be in A tier, then Black Panther would have to be in B tier. But I think Black Panther's effect and the way that you can scale with him is just super strong still.
Okay, so I was between B and C on this card.
Okay.
So I am much lower on this card than you. I think it's multiple degrees worse than Man-Spider. Let's look at...
It's different.
Let's look at what decks Black Panther has been popular. And there's two that come to mind. Two decks that people say. First is the classic Wong Black Panther Zola combo that is still prevalent at lower collection levels. I do see it when I'm facing lower CL players on ladder. It still exists. For new collection level players, it's still solid. It still wins. It is... I cannot put it in D tier out of reference to them. But the reason that makes me think maybe B tier is Nimrod. Now, I don't think Nimrod is that good right now. Largely because A, it doesn't scale high enough to be some of these decks, especially if it can't get a limbo down. And B, I also think that Nimrod is bad because it dies to Stardust, and we're starting to see an uptick in Stardust usage significantly. Yeah. Therefore, I actually lean towards C tier. So we're pretty far off on this one. I think this card is just a little bit too clunky. I know you like playing 10s decks, and this is like one of the only 5/10s left. I think that this card, although it has one of the strongest keyword texts in the game, it's got the hardest implementation of it. When you're looking at a card like Man-Spider, when it comes to like, okay, how can I further double this? It's very easy because you're basically, I'm merging this Man-Spider with either a 12 power card. Now it's a 24 power card. I just played Reverse Fury that I can duke out of a lane. If I play the Man-Spider on like a Luna Snow, I have Absorbing Man. I have destroyed this into Adamantium and Fusion, which I guess you can also do with Black Panther. That was one of Black Panther's few winning lines. I have tons of stuff that I can do to like, I can merge it with a Hulkbuster. I can do all this stuff. There's just a lot more flexibility with the Man-Spider, which is very, very valuable. Like, one of my favorite things to do with Man-Spider is it's very hard when I'm playing my Man-Spider deck. If I have Prio on turn 6, the opponent's pretty much dead because they have no real way to predict where I can allocate my power and if I can contest all 3 lanes with 30 plus power. Black Panther just doesn't have that flexibility. It's too linear, it's too predictable, and although the line is powerful, it's just not powerful enough. It's got less options. Even a deck like Doom 2099, it can do a Dr. Doom, it can do an Aurora, it can do a Cosmic Ghost Rider, it can do a Cannonball, it can do a Thing First Steps. All those things can happen on the final turn and drastically mess up a game plan. Black Panther really doesn't have any of that, which is why I tend to put this card in C tier. I just really... I have made a video about why I hate Symbiote Spider-Man so much. I hate linear game plans now. I like that kind of like variety and spice and let the cards move around and I choose where my power goes. So I'm probably a little bit too low on this card, but I do think Black Panther kind of sucks, and this is also way too long to be talking about this card.
If I may interject and offer one thing that you didn't speak about was the fragility of the game plan. Man Spider has one of the most fragile game plans in the game. It is interacted with every single thing. Now, Black Panther is pretty fragile too, but it's not on the same level of fragility as Man Spider, where a single tech card can ruin your entire game plan. I think there's also a lot of mind games that come along with Black Panther that squeezes cubes, but we can put him in C tier. I think he's better than these cards in C tier, though. Like just because of the double text alone, I think he's better than almost all those cards in C tier.
I think we should meet in the middle and put him in B tier, because I will get to Man Spider when it comes to the fragility of it. I think that their downsides have the same amount of fragility, but there's a lot more flexibility when it comes to where to move your Man Spider power. Like one of the lines I often play, and that I'll get to this more at Man Spider, is I abs man in a different lane than the Man Spider, completely juking out their tech card, because if they didn't contest all 3 lanes and they don't have prio, you can juke it pretty early, and if you can just maintain prio, especially with my version of the Man Spider list, it's just kind of game over for your opponent. But I think it's about time we had an S tier card in Blink.
Yes, Blink is an easy S tier card.
Yep, phenomenal card, key and ramp, just one of the most consistent ways to get your combo out in the entire game. Miss consistency, just super strong card. I don't think there's much to say about her.
Yeah, she's just one of the best. She just is a ton of value built into one card. Yep. That guaranteed pull is just super strong.
Blue Marvel.
He's kind of bad.
He's not worse than Black Panther, I think. I think he's great.
But what are you playing him in? Like, are you only playing him in Zoo?
Zoo.
That's
my
it.
all-in Ozymandias decks also run him just as a second one target.
But you also have... That's not a good example, though. All-in Ozymandias?
Man, it's better than Wong BP Zola.
No, it's not. Not for low CL gamers. But Wong BP Zola is farming at low CLs.
I guess. We can put this guy in C tier. I love this card. I wish he was higher, but
what do you think they could do to buff him?
5/5.
5/5?
5/5 in his A tier. Yeah. I just think that's it. I just think 5/3 is too small. That's it.
I like it. All right, C-Ball, 5/5. Dude, this guy took a fat nerf, and I was not expecting that one.
Yeah, this guy took 3 points of power nerfed off of him in under a year.
Is he still that strong?
I think he's A now. I think the point nerfed him a tier, the extra one. 5/5 just sucks.
It just sucks. But does it suck enough to put him in B tier? Like where?
No, B. I was saying he went from S to A.
I was thinking he went S to A to B.
No, I think at 5/6 the card was still S tier. I mean, obviously it deserved the nerf. I think it's still.
But sometimes they nerf things just because they're unfun to play against, not because they're too strong, like Goliath.
Yes, but I think C-Ball's also a lot better a card than Goliath.
Yes, I was just showing an example though.
Yeah. I think this card is A tier. I
agree.
I think that it's too strong of a text, especially with Mercury just being a generically pretty solid card. Not much to say. I think this guy next to him is better.
Yeah, Cosmic Ghost Rider is still S tier, still insanely strong. It's like when it comes into meta, it's an S tier card. When it comes out of the meta, like it's a B tier card. But like its effect is so strong that you can't ever not rate it S tier until it becomes like a 5/5/5/4. Then you're like, can I afford to play this?
5/5. I'm playing Red Guardian, dude. That's what I gotta say to that. Darkhawk, who I think goes with all the buddies of his old era in the C tier.
Yeah, and I think looking at it, you should move Black Panther down.
Yeah.
It's just old big stat drop, you know. Darkhawk, the problem for Darkhawk is that his body is still too small. The added disruption is not enough to justify his small body.
Yep.
Like he's the worst of these fives. Like he's almost D tier, but his disruption is good enough to keep him up in the C, and he has free wins against Airshim and sometimes Thanos. But
Airshim's back, so I don't think we can rate this guy lower than C. For the same reason that Cassandra Nova was C tier on the tier list. It's an auto win in a matchup like that. Darkhawk, I don't think can ever be rated below C tier just because of how free it is. As long as Airshim has a presence in the game, which I mean, the card is super weak. But the thing is that just that scam potential based on how Snap plays based on like a cube rate system, Airshim will always be there. There's always somebody playing Airshim. One of your favorite Cope cards, Devil Dinosaur. Where do you think Devil Dino goes?
Bro, I love this card so much. It goes in the S tier.
I'm waiting for the actual rating, please.
D tier.
I got to agree.
It's just D tier because the reason why, Devil Dinosaur has an amazing body, like a 518 if you have a full hand, 516, 518, but his supporting cast is terrible.
Yep. I mean, like, Ronan gets to play a 2/3 that has significant disruption against both mid-range decks and combo decks, and also a 2/6. And Devil Dino's support cards are Agent Coulson and Nick Fury, both notoriously really good cards, right? I don't think I need to say more. Dragon Lord, I think, is going solidly into the B tier.
I agree with that.
It's just
he's fun to build around. He's cool.
Solid card. Not much else to say. Enchantress, I think, also goes into the B tier, although I could definitely hear an argument for C tier.
I was leaning more towards C, but
I'm looking at the card.
Her effect is so strong. The problem is like her 5/8 was a buff, but then it kind of also was a nerf because now you can't play her except for in specific decks, and those specific decks are terrible. They just can't compete.
You can play her in ramp if ongoing is prevalent, but I think ongoing is just a little bit too weak right now in general as well.
I feel like Cosmic Ghost Rider took her slot though.
Yes, because the best ongoing is Captain Carter right now.
And you just
distance at Maverick, and you just go, whoosh, and then it's gone. I think this card is still B tier based on the fact that just like it is a powerful answer. And I'm looking at the cards in C tier, and Enchantress is better than all of them. So I think out of just kind of partial like respect and what I mentioned at the start of the tier list, there will be a time when Enchantress is the most played tech card again. Yeah, it's just we're just waiting for a good ongoing to release. We'll see if it does or when it does realistically, but I think that it's still a solid enough card. There's a reason why people called this a buff. End of story. Now let's talk about an F tier card, Gamora.
Oh man, the Guardians are so cooked in this game except for Rocket.
Yep. Gilgamesh is D tier.
I agree with that.
He's terrible. I
just don't think. Why would you ever even play Zoo?
Why do you even play Gilgamesh in Zoo? There's just better Zoo decks.
That's also a real question.
Well, we're going to talk about Ozymandias in a few. That card is just way better if you want to play a board fill strategy. Your support
so
pieces,
much.
instead of a 1/2 and a 3/4 that still isn't fixed, by the way. He can still summon skills. They lied in the OTA. Well, I can just play a 2/5 and a 3/8.
Yeah.
No, wow. Which one should I play? The one with the
And
2 above
Ozymandias. Ozymandias has a 5/9 body. +3. That's crazy stats, like you compare to Blue Marvel. But luckily, we do have a strong contender coming up next. So Helion.
Yeah.
Where do you think he lands, Smlz?
A. I cannot put him in S tier.
I think A too.
Yeah, I cannot put him in S. Move is just weaker. When Shou goes away, maybe this guy goes back up. He's just A tier. He's better than the cards in B tier. A tier, I can look at it and I can say with full confidence that this is a good card. B tier, I'll waver a little bit. Helion definitely goes in the A tier.
Helion is just such a strong card.
100% agree. Hobgoblin, F tier. He sucks.
Yes.
Hydro-Man.
Horrible.
D tier.
D tier.
You can
Not
run
great.
him. I think Hydro-Man suffered so much from the release of Chamber, which is really funny because you'd think they're a synergy piece. Hydro-Man is, on release, was like B tier. Because when Hydro-Man exceeds is these decks like V-Hand, these decks like Batroc move without the Shou-Lao stuff, where you're only giving them like a -1, -2 discount, and you're getting a -4. You're getting a -5. That's where Hydro-Man really excels. The problem, they just started printing a ton of big cards that are really good at combo. Like Chamber. Well, that's a pretty big card and a pretty good card because you're promoting to run more big cards. Fin Fang Foom. Oh no, I got 1 cost Foom. Game's over. It's just like, this card suffered so much from the cards ST Coast release. I think this card, like from an actual power level, is probably in C tier. But the problem is, they just released like the absolute worst cards for it. And it hasn't necessarily been in a good meta for long enough to prove that it is C tier, so I think it has to be D tier. Now, one of our favorite cards. One of my favorites in the whole game.
Infinity Ultron.
Is B tier.
Yeah. Borderline C tier.
Yes. Borderline C tier. Orange Stone getting +3 was a really big change. That card, that stone is now arguably, I think you can argue it's the best one now. Just 211 is crazy stats.
Yeah, I mean, it's not the best one. I still think purple is the best one, but then
really good, but
it's crazy. Orange Stone had such a glow up. I love it. Another big S tier card coming up though for us is Iron Man.
Yep.
This man just is so good. Every meta, always there. From the day you start Snap till now, he is always going to be good. He is just so strong.
Look, he's the GOAT. That's all I can say as a certified team negative enjoyer. This guy's awesome.
As a certified team negative hater, he's awesome.
I'm not team negative. I'm Teemu negative. I hate normal negative.
Oh, Tamu negative. Oh, okay.
Jane Foster, I think. Okay, he used to definitely be A tier. Gore changed to 6/1 as a notable hit. I think he's B tier. Arguably.
Do people even play negative anymore now because of Gore change?
Yes, people still play negative.
Are they coping though?
Notably, yes.
Okay.
But I do think the Hammers deck is slightly less cope than it once was.
Bro, I spent a whole day playing Hammers deck after the changes.
How bad?
They're still insanely cope. They're terrible.
I just like that Cougar stats, and they were like, oh, you know what? This might not actually be like maybe a C tier deck now. Like maybe this is like okay. This is tier 3. If you're saying so, we're gonna put this card in the C tier then.
Yeah, I think it has a really nice stat line though. 5'9" for that ability is crazy.
All right, talking
Really
about
good.
stat lines and cards that should definitely be reverted. Claw, who I think it has to go in the C tier because
Does it?
it could go in D.
Doesn't it just go in D? Like, there's no decks that play Claw. There's not a single deck that plays Claw. It needs its buff back.
Yep. Make it.
Every deck that
give
wants
him
to
an
play
extra
Claw
point.
just plays Iron Man.
Just give him extra 2 points. Why not? Make him.
No, I actually agree. I think
Yeah.
a 5/5 plus 8.
5/5 plus 8. There you go. Second dinner. Ship it off. Lady Deathstrike, I think, is a C tier card. Hot take. Cosmic Ghost Rider ate this card's entire lunch, even more so than Enchantress.
I agree with that. I think Lady Deathstrike also lost a lot of the meaningful cards that she wanted to hit because they keep buffing them to 3/4. She wanted to hit a ton of cards that used to be 3/3, and now they're 3/4, and it's just been really bad for Lady Deathstrike ever since then. Like, even to help yourself, like an Airwalker, like she lost synergy pieces as well.
Yep. I just think that this card isn't that good. But speaking of a card that is that good, Legion, S tier. No further questions. This card is amazing.
Yeah, I 1000% agree.
Yep. If you don't know why Legion's S tier, largely this is one of very few cards that can win a game by itself. I don't think I need to say anymore. There's maybe like 3 cards in the game that can do that. It's this, Galactus, and like, I don't know. I don't even know if there's a third one. There's very few cards that warp the game this much. Legion's an S tier card. Man
Legion's
Spider.
one of the best.
S.
I think Man Spider's S tier.
Yep. Glad we agree there. Super good card. And yeah, anything you want to say?
No, I just think its doubling abilities are super strong. I think it's the tallest deck that you can play. However, you do suffer from the fragility of Man Spider, where it's hard to gain prio from that turn 5 to turn 6. And so that turn 5, turn 6, you are extremely vulnerable. Like from turn 4 to 6, you're just extremely vulnerable to tech cards and not just tech cards, but any disruption cards along the way. Like a Gambit, just regular discard Gambit can just ruin a whole Man Spider's day.
I agree. I also think that Man Spider's disruption cards, since Star-Lord's now many nerfs, have gotten a lot less popular. Cosmo is still there and can still be annoying, but again, you have like ways to juke out the Cosmo, and there's no safe lane to Cosmo against a Man Spider player because they can really play for all 3. And they also all now run Zola. I am a fan of the anti-venom version of Man Spider. That's my build, largely because one of the most popular cards, like consistently, has been Luna Snow. And if you're running the Symbiote Spider-Man version, Luna Snow could just destroy you, and that's not even a tech card. I'd prefer to leave it as unfragile as possible. Therefore, that's kind of the version I prefer. It also keeps a lot of your information hidden, so your opponent really doesn't know where the power is going. I think this is one of the best combo pieces in the entire game. I think it's S tier, and I think just on a general tier list of cards as well, it would also still be S tier because it's that good.
Yeah, I agree. All right, so now going on to a more defining card over the course of the life of Snap, but not as powerful anymore, Modok. I think Modok is still a B tier card. And I think it's because he is the defining card for discard. I think that you can't have a discard deck without Modok. Realistically, like even Hela recently was playing Modok, and I think some decks, there are still some Star-Lord Hela decks out there, but they're huffing some copium, if you know what I mean. I just think Modok's effect is just so strong that I highly doubt it will ever be lower than B. It would have to take a lot of points hits for me to consider it being a C tier card, in my opinion.
Agreed. Perfectly reasonable. He's the best card in the discard deck. Not much else to say. Talking about cope cards. Namora, F tier in my opinion. What do you think about that?
It hurts my soul to put her in F tier because like She has so much stats, but like it's just so her ability is just so bad. Like it's like not enough stats for what it's asking you to do. And so like she's a 517 when Devil Dino is a 518.
Yep. One, like, to put this into perspective as well, I tried to make this card work. I put Namora in the ramp deck. I figure, oh, I'm playing one card a turn. I can get all 517 points of value. This is actually going to maybe work. And then I ran into the problem that a lot of locations like to do this thing called adding cards to your side of the board. Talking about Legion winning games, this card like is like on average, just like in the average game on Marvel Snap, it's a 512. So
yeah,
it's like, what can you
terrible.
do? Card sucks. Nimrod, I think, is probably B tier.
You think so?
Look, I think Nimrod decks are on the same level as Shou-Lao decks right now.
Shou-Lao decks, you think Nimrod's on that same level? Oh, see, I think Nimrod and Black Panther's on the same level to me, so I'd put it as C tier.
Okay. I'm a Nimrod. I love Nimrod Black Panther. It's a pretty fun deck that you can just mindlessly play away if you're looking for a good deck to climb. Nimrod lines were always way stronger. And the thing is, although Stardust is becoming popular, Nimrod is just a harder card to interact with. And I think that puts it a tier above Black Panther. I think it suffers from a lot of the same problems and the fact that it can be very telegraphed and all that stuff. It's just hard to interact with. A Shang, not that great. Shadow King can do some numbers, but oftentimes if you're diverting 4 power to a lane that's not even going to stay there, you also just might straight up lose on points. It's just still a powerful strategy. Like Black Panther, it's just a little bit harder to answer. So I think the tier is appropriate for this guy.
I like that. That's good reasoning.
Now, Ozzy, A tier. My take.
I agree. A tier.
Yep, this card's good. Straight up.
Super strong, solid stats. It's not the best deck in the game, but it's a solid B plus A minus deck.
Yep.
Just super strong.
One card that I think is very similar that I also want to put in the A tier, Ronan. I think these two are very similar.
I put Ronan in B tier.
No, I would put Ronan in A tier. I think Ronan and Ozymandias are fundamentally the same card wearing two different masks. They're both a 5-drop points engine, but where Ozymandias is all about stats above cost, Ronan is about disrupting your opponent as well as having these stats above cost. Master Mold and Maximus, I think, are about as good together as Rhino and Debris. I think Debris the best card of all of them, Rhino's the worst card of all of them, and then Master Mold and Maximus ran somewhere in the middle because you also get that key combo disruption as well as those stats above cost. I think Ronan just being oftentimes a 519, 517 in the Supergiant is really strong. There's a reason why he is the go-to 5 cost in Supergiant. I think Ozymandias might be kind of encroaching on that a little bit. I know my deck has recently taken off and gotten a little bit of traction with that. But I think these cards fill a very fundamentally similar role. And I think it's just a question of, do you value the added disruption or do you value the ability to spread power a little bit better? That's just, I think, this kind of, there's no wrong answer to that. Therefore, I think these cards are honestly both the same tier.
Okay. I was going to say, I think it's B tier because I think Ozymandias is taking over Ronan's spot as the Sugi main deck because I think Rhino is better than Master Mold and Maximus. I think it's more stats, and I think it's just a better card overall.
I think I disagree. I think Rhino's just kind of getting carried by Ozzy. I know.
Well, obviously.
I know viewer of the channel and a friend of ours, Avon, is gonna get mad at me. He's Mastery 30 Rhino. I'm sorry, but Rhino's like, he's good now. He's just probably for me like a high B tier card, as opposed to like, I can argue Master Mold and low A just because we're in such a combo meta, and that's just such good disruption. Like, you're like, denying draw is the most powerful it's ever been.
Then why don't we run Black Widow?
Because Black Widow's a 3/3. And a 2-3 is way better than a 3-3.
I'm just playing with you.
All
right, so now a card that's fallen from grace completely.
Used to be
a terrible card.
Used to be one of the best cards, arguably the best in the game.
And he used to be the very best card in the game.
My go. Well, I got God split on him before he got nerfed. D.
Yeah, I think I have to agree with you, D. I was debating C or D because like you can still play a lockdown deck, and the less move there is, there's not a lot of move right now, at all, and you can get a lot of cheeky wins with Daredevil Prof still, but I just don't think it's strong enough to be able to justify it on the same level as the C tier cards.
Look, it's an unfun deck to play against, so I get why it's not good. That being said, why can't this guy be a 5-4? Like at 5-4, it adds lockdown back. And personally, I know I'm a little bit biased, I actually like having lockdown strategies in the game. I think it matters a lot more about early game and when you're playing this stuff. And it allows me to play a couple decks that like I haven't played in a long time. And come up with like stuff like Surprise Ultron again, which I like to do. It's just too weak. The lockdown, it's a deck in the sense that Khonshu is a deck. It's not necessarily.
Hold on there. You hold your tongue right there. You don't disrespect my boy Khonshu like that.
Look. Is there a reason? I'm saying, is there a reason why when everybody starts talking about cope decks, the first one they mention is Khonshu. That being said, it's not as bad as people say.
No, that's funny.
Red Skull. He beats C3. So I don't think I can put him in F tier. FP said he's not much better.
I think he's D tier.
I agree.
I just don't think there's not a reason to play Sauron. There's too many strong ongoings that you don't want to turn off. And Sauron turns them off. And like you want to play Cosmo. You want to play Stardust. Correct. When you're a big stats deck like this, you know?
If Cerebro was +2, this card would be F tier. Literally, it being an instant win button versus Cerebro is the only reason it's in D tier. That's literally the only redeeming quality. Sandman, I think honestly, you can argue C. I would put him in D.
Really? I'm higher on Sandman than you. I think Sandman is B or C.
Whoa, B tier?
Yeah, I think he's that strong. I think he slots in well into the Doom 2099 list, and he's extremely disruptive in that list.
Okay, he's extremely disruptive in that list, but I don't necessarily think he's more disruptive than a Cosmic Ghost Rider. I don't think he's more disruptive.
I think you play both of them.
Cannonball. You do play both of them. I just think he's kind of like the one that you put in there, like this might do fine. Like it's not gonna. I can see C tier with this guy. I can definitely put him in C tier. I just think that he is riding off of a card and package that just got so much support that it became really strong overnight. Namely, Moondragon, Drax. They released so many strong cards for that deck that I think that Sandman is just kind of riding the wave instead of being one of the things that's propelling the wave forward. I think we can put him in C tier and call it a day.
To be fair, though, he was always part of that deck, you know. And I think he's replacing Cannonball in that deck every single time now. I just don't think you can justify the stats of Cannonball because no one's playing moves. So there's not really a reason to play Mercury. There's better 3-drops you can play.
I guess. I mean, like what, Caliban?
I love Caliban.
Sera. I think
D tier.
Whoa, I was gonna say C. I think Sera decks are honestly pretty underrated right now, namely Splat Surfer. I think that deck is just straight up really good. Nobody's playing it. Yeah, I think that the effect is a little bit too powerful for me to put this any lower than C tier. It's kind of the same argument that I have for like It's the same reason why I think Black Panther is C tier and not D tier, to be honest with you. Just the text on it is a little bit too good for it to be D tier level of bad.
That makes sense. That makes sense. I think it needs a buff. I think it needs to be a 5.6
Agreed.
or 5.7.
5.7 sounds nuts. 5.6 we can do. I'll let you take this one.
Make another tier below F tier, put it in, call it Cersei tier, and that's where she goes. She is the worst card in the game. There's not a single card that's worse than this card right here.
We'll do it for the bit. In reality, she's F tier, but it's not that far off. This card is awful.
She's
Rom, can you
so
explain
bad.
Rom, can you explain your worst Cersei loss? I think that'd be pretty good content.
My worst Cersei loss.
Your worst one, because I'll say mine quickly. I wasn't the Cersei player here, thankfully. I was playing against last week's guest, Husky Puppies, and he Cersei a Sentry and a Void into 2 Hobgoblins and a full lane. That's the
my
worst
Cersei loss. My worst Cersei loss was it was a Nocturne game. I was turning off Limbo. Yeah, I was turning off Limbo. I had a White Tiger in the lane. The White Tiger turned into Destroyer and destroyed my entire lane. And then the Nocturne moved over, and I think it turned into Mr. Negative. And I lost because this was old Destroyer. So I lost my entire lane, and I only had 1 Destroyer, but I lost the game. Anytime Cersei turning a 5-drop into a Destroyer. I also had one where I had a Destroyer with the new Destroyer and then a Viper, and it flipped over and sent the Cersei over to the other side. So
this is great content. I hope you got that on stream. Shou-Lao S tier. You could talk a little bit about Shou-Lao. I know you hate this guy.
I just dislike him because he's just so free. His stats are so free. There's extremely minimal deck building requirements for you to get 1 trigger of him, and he averages out as a 518, which is to the same as Devil Dino, and you have to run an entire garbage package to get Devil Dino to 518. With Shou-Lao, you can just run the best cards in the game with a Kitty Pride package, and you can get him to a 518. I just think and then it's so easy to copy him into multiple lanes, so that way instead of a 518 he's playing as a 530, and you're like, that's great. I love this game.
Shou is one of the most consistent points packages that has ever existed in Marvel Snap. It has almost never been easier to score in the mid-30s in 2 lanes consistently. This card allows you to do that. It is one of the best cards, if not the best card in the entire game.
It's so strong.
Now let's talk about... Why is Spider-Man here? Let's talk about...
Is that Spider-Man 2099?
Oh, it is meant to be 2099. Okay, this is 2099. This is not Spider-Man. 2099 is D tier.
I was actually going to say D tier. I thought you were going to put him in F tier, but I was just playing him just today, and he actually felt really good.
There's use cases for him. As you can see, in our #1 Cope deck enjoyer has definitely gotten some use out of him.
I was playing him in a Red Wing deck, and I actually was doing really well.
That sounds so insanely bad. Spider-Woman. F tier.
This card is bad. Holy bad. Gamora is a 512 if you hit. Spider-Woman is a 512 if they're full in a lane.
Yeah. Gamora's meaningfully better than this card, and they're both in the F tier. This card would honestly is closer to Cell C tier. Master of the Sun. This was my hated card, and it got nerfed, so haha, I win. Sunler, where do you put in this guy? This was your favorite. I'm a Shou enjoyer myself.
Listen, they nerfed my boy, Star-Lord, Master of the Sun. 07's in the chat. Make sure you type it in the comments. 07 for our boy Star-Lord. No one's going to put any 07s for Star-Lord.
Dude, I made a whole video hating on Star-Lord for 12 minutes. I don't think there's going to be...
Your channel is cultivated to hate this card.
I know, right? Because this card was one of the worst cards they've ever printed for the game.
I love this card.
Okay, he is kind of fun. I would probably lean to Star-Lord A tier.
Am I crazy if I still think he's S tier?
I think you're a little... Okay. What is he doing better? Is he better than any cards in S tier right now?
Maybe Cosmic Ghost Rider. He's better than Cosmic Ghost Rider.
I don't think he's better than CTR. Look, I still think this card is very good. I think it's on a similar level to like Ozzy, Ronan, Seaball. I think that like level is quite similar. Like, would you rather play this card or 5/6 Seaball? I think 5/6 Seaball.
I'd rather play this card every single day.
Really?
This card's stat line is crazy, bro. He's averaging 5'11", 5'12". He's huge. He's huge. He's a monster.
He is huge, but also it's a lot fairer.
Yes, it's fairer than it was before. He's still insanely strong, in my opinion.
I think he's arguably top of the A tier, but I just think that the S tier cards are a little bit too prevalent, too overwhelmingly strong. Maybe if this guy is still top meta in like 2 weeks, I can definitely see this card definitely being in the S tier. I think it's probably the strongest in A tier. That being said, I just cannot justify putting this card over something like an Iron Man, something like a Man.
That makes
Spider.
sense.
And it's also a little bit too early, I think. Stature. You want to put it right next to Blackbolt in D tier?
I want to put it right next to Blackbolt.
I think it's out tier because I just hate that. I think the pack sucks so bad, but I mean,
I think that Stature's the only reason why you're playing the package.
I think the Blackbolt's the only reason you're playing Stature.
Oh, see, I think you're only playing Stature to play. I think you're only playing Blackbolt to play Stature.
This is like
because you just replaced Blackbolt with Moon Knight.
This is us arguing. You only taking out your trash. This is the garbage versus. Oh, you're only going to the garbage to take out the trash.
No, my food tastes worse than your food.
All right. This guy fell off so bad. This guy put from A to F.
He's so bad. Why would you ever play him when Star-Lord Master of the Sun exists in this game?
This card literally went from a solid A tier card to F tier just because Star-Lord is so much better.
So much better.
Think for steps. I'm thinking a solid A, maybe B.
I was leaning more towards B.
I think he's about the same as IU.
Yeah,
I think he's on the line. I think he's on the line. For what it's worth, A and B.
I think that's a very fair take. Okay. Are you ready for my hottest take of your entire video?
I might have the same one.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
3, 2, 1. A tier. Oh!
Yeah. Yep, this card is really, really good.
She's so strong right now. She's crazy good.
Yep. Luna Snow's a card, so you can more reliably play her. Yeah, there's just so many just strong ongoing cards. Like, I climbed a lot when I played Valkyrie.
She's so strong right now.
She's really good. I'm looking at the B tier cards, and I think Valkyrie is better than all of them. I was between A and B, and then I just like looked at B again, and I'm just like, he's better than all these cards.
Which is crazy, because she was like an F tier card for like the majority of her time in the game.
They've printed enough ongoing cards.
Yes.
She can
enough
find...
ongoing cards, and objective cards work as well.
Yep.
Activate cards work afterwards. Like, there's just so many more cards you can play with Valkyrie now that you didn't have before.
Correct. I think it's one of the most underrated cards in the entire game. This card is strong. Straight up.
I agree.
Vision.
He is a tale of olden times.
D. I can't.
Yeah, you just don't play him. Why would you? There's better movers. And
there's also better 5 costs to play in ramp, like War Machine, who goes into the B tier because he's a good ramp card, and that's it.
Yep, that's literally all he does.
And he's good at that, but he's not even that great at it anymore. In a timeline where ramp was the best deck, which we had at the tail end of December of last year, which honestly I think it's more proof that they should make ramp really good because it leads to the best metas.
That was a fun meta.
He was A tier then, he's B tier now. Makes about enough sense to me. White Tiger. I think he's B tier now, post buff.
I still think she's C tier. I think she went from D to C. I don't think she went from D to B. I think she went from D to C.
Okay. For the viewers, and try to convince me as well, why do you think it is C tier instead of B tier?
I just think that it's still such a meaningful cost for you to have to play White Tiger, and she's still going into the same deck that she always was already in, which was the Wong White Tiger just kind of decks packages that you have right there. It is a meaningful buff, which is why it brings her from D tier to C tier, but it also introduced new ways to get countered with Shang-Chi. Granted, Shang-Chi's not very good, but it does introduce a new way to get counter without offering as many buffs as you would hope to get for getting basically a whole brand new counter.
I think that's fair reasoning. My thinking on why she's one of the best in C tier or low B tier is because just in general, let's look at like a Merlin deck. Like all of a sudden, you're not running Sentry anymore because you're running this. Would I rather run a 4/9 that gets polymorphed into a 5 cost, or would I rather run a 5 or a 5/10 and also something that gets polymorphed into a 6 cost? Personally, I'd rather run the latter. I think it's just also generally more points. You're not as pressured to have the answer to it. I think that White Tiger is kind of meaningfully better. The question is, how good is that deck? Honestly, I think it's probably a bit better than people are rating it. I think it is stronger than pretty much all the cards in C tier. That being said, I definitely think it's weaker than all the cards in B tier. So I think it's kind of in between there.
You brought up a really interesting point. Like, would you rather have a 5-drop or a 6-drop? And I'm looking at these 6-drops.
Destroyer PTSD.
I think I'd rather have a 5-drop.
I think this is Destroyer PTSD. Look at this tier list.
No, I'm looking at like just the overall like strength, because like even if you get a Spider-Woman, you're still getting just a 5/8, and like
look, man, I'm thinking about
there's so many bad 6-drops.
I'm thinking about Valentina, and I'm like, oh, Valentina's 6-drops aren't even that bad.
Well, Valentina's 6-drops are both discounted, and you can choose to play them.
But you're getting them like free. Like the only one I'm choosing not to play is Destroyer.
And Null.
I think and
Taskmaster usually.
Sometimes you play Null. Sometimes you do play Null.
Usually you don't play Hela.
Yeah, but it's still better than polymorphing into a freaking Hobgoblin in a full lane. Oh no!
That's true. That's true.
And I got Hobgoblin.
That's true.
What if I get it turned out? Cersei. Oh, no, I'm gonna make it Destroyer. Last card on the list, Zombie Giant Man. I think he is a B, but in Cadence, the new Gambit ruining everything. C.
Yeah, new Gambit just kind of killed zombies off the face of the planet. I think you still need to put him in B tier because the zombie package is just so strong, and he's so strong in it. Like he's just like, look at those C tier cards, and he's just so much better than the rest of them.
Look, you gave me an excuse to believe my least favorite card in the game doesn't exist, so I'll take it.
I think it does exist less now. That nerf to 6 was pretty meaningful.
In C3, other than that, I don't really see it. I still see in just as much Gambit as I did before, and it still makes me close my game as much as I did before.
Me with Shou-Lao.
All right. Worm, where can the people find you not streaming on a week? Sorry.
You can find me not streaming.
Basis?
You can find me not streaming on twitch.tv/RoramPlays. I do not stream on Monday, Tuesdays, and I do not stream on the weekends. I do stream. This is the opposite, just in case anyone is confused. I do not stream on Monday and Tuesday and Saturdays. All right?
You can actually find Roram on Twitch on Mondays, Tuesdays, and Saturdays if you did not pick that up already. He's a very entertaining streamer, one of the best in the game. Make sure to redeem Hydrate for 1,500 channel points if you want to see him have fun.
If you want to see me drown.
All right. Any last comments on the tier list before we head out?
It looks perfect. I like it. I'm glad we had some similar hot takes, and 5 costs overwhelmingly are kind of bad.
Not much else to say to that. It's absolutely right. That's going to be it for today. We've got one more cost tier list coming up with a special guest for 6+ costs. Yeah, that's going to be it for me. Thank you all for 1,000 subscribers on YouTube. Thank you so much. Have a great one. See ya.